tell you something.
Okay.
I'm a person for right.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And if you tell me something and you say, Monique, I've done something to somebody, but don't say nothing. Shannon, I'm going to need you to fix that, because if you don't fix it, I'm going to have to tell that because it's wrong. So when she tells me this is not his baby, but I'm going to tell him it's his baby, I can't let you do that. That's not right. Wow. So what I stand for is right. And I think where we run into a problem in our community, in our group, we get so caught in, well, that's not your place, but you see wrong happening, right? So when you see wrong happening, what you do? Do you just stand back and say, that ain't my business? Or do you look and say, well, I knew that wasn't his baby. Now the baby 21 years old and he's trying to find his father. What you gonna do? I'm asking you, what you gonna do?
Well, honestly, Monique, if somebody say, well, Shannon, I'm going to tell you something, and I'm going to tell you this in confidentiality, and I don't want to go any further than me, you, and this table.
Yes.
It stays with me, him, and the table.
Well, let me say this, because I'm going to go back and forth with your ass, okay? I would say, before you tell me, did you hurt somebody?
Yeah, okay, yes.
Before you tell me, is this something that would make me question your character? Before you tell me, you got to be clear about what you get ready to tell me. Because if you're getting ready to tell me something and I know that you've done something wrong, I know that you're wrong, and I not say anything, that's why people are allowed to keep harming people for years to come. See Harvey Weinstein?
Yes.
Well, there's a lot of people that knew what was happening.
But they felt it wasn't their place.
It wasn't their place. Them. Right, until it becomes you. So I think the moment we get into a space, and I was in the 11th grade at the time,
right.
Okay? But when we get into a space where we say, listen, if I know you're doing wrong, and I take a position that's not my place, eventually you will succumb to what you support.
Eventually you will succumb to what you support. I feel like we are in that phase of life right now in this world. Welcome back to the hottest show in the galaxy. It's the Karen Hunter Show. Now, it is Thrive Thursday, so I'm going to handle this Monique on Club Shay Shay interview differently than I will tomorrow, which is Foolishness Friday. For those of you who don't know the difference, on Friday, it's Vegas on the Karen Hunter Show, and we will entertain all manner of foolishness, both from our hosts, from myself, and from the listeners. On Thursday, though, I like to tackle things a little bit differently Monday through Thursday, and I want to use this 2-hour and 55-minute discussion as an entry point into a question around character. What she said in this first clip that I played is, if it's wrong, and we should say something. And she was given an example of how she, was almost beaten up as a child because she revealed somebody's secret, that the child that they had was not the father that they told was the father was not the father. And the lady wanted to whoop her ass. And so, and Shannon was like, well, why would you do that? And she said, because it's wrong. And I'm just going to be honest. I relate to that because I feel like, and she was saying some really, and self-effacing, self-deprecating things that Monique was saying about herself, even with her relationship with her child, was that, at some point you have to apologize for the things that you've done, be accountable for the things that you've done so that you can grow, move on, and heal. And I think she's absolutely right. I think we are all, and it's not just the Black community, because she was intimating that somehow Black people will sit across the table from the abuser at Thanksgiving and say nothing. But I think everyone does it. I think every single person listening to us knows a family member that has done wrong or harm, and we may see them at the cookout or at the family reunion across the table from Thanksgiving, and no one says anything, but everyone knows. She brought up Harvey Weinstein. That's a good example. All of Hollywood knew. They knew Jeffrey Epstein had this island. I guess people knew. People were there. But no one said anything until somebody said something. And then there was an avalanche of people saying something, because it takes one person to be courageous enough to say, this is wrong. And, I've gotten some texts, people saying Monique was angry. I didn't find her to be angry at all. I felt that she sat on that couch. And for all of the people that love Cat Williams, this was not so dissimilar to me in terms of setting the record straight. Now, Monique names names. And I feel like that's the other thing. If you don't call a thing, as a Yala would say, and if you don't tell the truth about people, then what happens is we end up mythologizing and putting hero worshiping folk that don't deserve to be heroes or worshiped. Everyone's human. I think we had this discussion with Reverend Dr. Frederick Haynes in his installation as the head of Rainbow Push. I was asking him about how do we navigate these complicated figures in history who have done so much good, but also in their lives have done so much harm? Do we not, and he talked about grace. Yes, grace is great, but there should be some accountability, especially if the harm was done collectively to all of us. Now, as it relates to people's personal lives and babies out of wedlock and all, that's none of our business. Whether or not somebody cheats on their spouse, that's between the spouse and that person. That is not our business. And if we are dragged into the business because we seem to be dragged into everybody's business, it's really not our business. That harm was done to the spouse, and if the spouse is still rocking with them, who is it? What is our place in this? You know what I'm saying? But there are some harms that are done collectively in industries where, and this is what she's speaking to, where it affects all of us. And I believe, like, I just sold some real estate, but I made sure that I set the bar for my neighbors so that everybody would have the ability to refinance at a higher price. So because I'm not, desperate, I didn't have to sell. I made sure I got a price that set the bar for my neighbors who look like me, who deserve, in a neighborhood that is predominantly Black, to have a high bar set, because they always devalue us. But that required something. And that required me walking around with the appraiser and saying, now, damn well, don't be giving me the Black appraisal. You know what I'm saying? But setting the bar means that sometimes you got to sacrifice, right? So I appreciate that Monique is standing in the paint, and a lot of people were calling her out of her name and excoriating her for holding out for Netflix. And whether you like the special or not is irrelevant, because there's a lot of horrible Netflix specials on where people got paid millions, and they offered this woman 1/26 of what they offered Amy Schumer, who could not, even the most horrible Monique Netflix special, to me, is still funnier than anything that Amy Schumer has ever done. That's my opinion. Y'all can at me. That said, watching this, I'm sure some of you liked some of the people that she, told the truth about. And again, Shannon Sharpe heard so let's go to the next clip, because we're going to talk more about this in a more ratchet way tomorrow, because it's Friday. But today I want to lean in on the integrity part, and then what's our responsibility? Should we not support? I mean, because I boycott the NFL because the NFL as an institution is racist. And now there are a lot of Black coaches. So at what point do we go back in? Do you know what I'm saying? So I'm asking myself this question. They brought in a lot of halftime guests that have been Black for the last 4 years, trying to, make amends. But now it was about the coaching. It was about the fake ass Rooney Rule. And it was about Colin Kaepernick taking that knee and y'all punishing him for that, because he was still better than at least 10 or 12 quarterbacks in the league, and you would not even give him a chance. And that was wrong. So I'm like, I'm not watching. Black people make up 75% of this league. And I know our dollars and our eyeballs definitely bolster it to become the biggest, most lucrative sports league in the world, outside of maybe FIFA. We'll talk about that later. But I'm sitting here and I'm like, okay, should we continue to support people because we like them if they're wrong? And now we know better. There's one thing, ignorance is bliss. If you don't know what people have done to other people, that's fine. But now we know. Let's play clip 2, Smiz. Clip 2.
Oprah Winfrey went totally silent. Now, to Tyler Perry's credit, Tyler Perry called us up, right? And he said, I can see the pain in you and I can hear it. And I want to let you know that I would never do nothing to hurt you. But the conversation kept going on, only for Tyler Perry to admit he did start a rumor that I was difficult to work with. He lied, only for Tyler Perry to admit I was wrong. And when my movie Boo come out, I'm going to say that, right? Now, here's where, when you did that interview with Kat, I could respect how you do it. Because Kat said, you let them people lie in your face. And your response was, Kat, I don't know if they're lying or not.
Right.
Because I can only take them at their word.
At their word.
Right?
Yes.
Well, We sent you the audio
Mm-hmm.
of Tyler Perry.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want you to take me at my word. I want you to hear his words. And what did you hear that man saying? What did you hear that man saying?
He said it.
What did he say?
Monique, you know you're not supposed to be recording people.
First of all, Shannon didn't want to answer that question. I don't know why. You heard the audio, and she asked you to say which was clever too. Tell us what he said. And Shannon was like, you're going to hear it out of my mouth. You're not going to have that clip. And then he said, you know you're not supposed to be recording people, Mo. Play the rest, Miss.
No. Let me back up.
Okay.
Everything we did was legal. And here's where a Black woman really gets the kick in the ass. Had I not recorded Tyler Perry, then it would have been my word against his. And then on top of that, it would have been, he's so powerful, we can't even pay no attention to that.
Right.
Well, now I have him on audio, which is legal to do where we live.
Right.
Okay. Mm-hmm. We have him on audio. And do you know what some people then said? Why would you record him? Just like you sat there and said, you know it's illegal to, but did you hear what the man said? I violated you.
Yeah.
I mistreated you.
Yeah.
Do you know, Shannon, that's cost my family tens of millions of dollars?
Yeah.
Over a lie and a rumor?
866-801-8255. I'm not having a conversation litigating whether Tyler Perry violated Monique. She has it on tape. Shannon Sharpe corroborated that he heard that. I'm not going to talk about whether Oprah is, a menace in Hollywood. I'm asking, hey, Oprah, I'm asking a fundamental question because, we can do multiple things. We definitely can walk and chew gum. I'm asking a question about what is our standard? Does character play a part in how we move in the world and what we support? And how important is character? When we know a wrong has been done and yet we still go, well, but I like this. What are we telling the universe about our standards, our character? And for me, it's that deep because I feel like everything is spiritual. So where you put your support tells the world what it is that you're about, what you like, right? And now it's even more poignant because of all of the algorithms. They are literally following your every move and then feeding it back to you. So our tummies are aching right now. Our spirits are aching right now because we've been fed a diet of dishonesty and lies and cheating and getting over and lack of character and lack of responsibility and accountability. And we are munching on it on a regular basis. And it's literally killing us. So I want to applaud Monique for being consistent. Because I interviewed her a few years ago when she was, on comedy tour and people were trashing her. And I did not, because I understood, again, I've been there. I've been in those rooms. I've been in those places. And I know what it feels like to be disrespected and to be undervalued and underpaid when you know what you bring to the table. And it's about the offer. It's not about the deliverance. Again, Oscar, she won an Oscar. That's supposed to put you in a whole other stratosphere, but it did not. And then the very people who should have been there supporting her turned on her because she refused to go do a tour, a promotional tour overseas for free. And I get it, and I grapple with this myself. There's some things you do because they lead to other things, and you make sacrifices here and sacrifices there. But she was 15, 20 years into the game at this point. She's not some random person that's just having their first moment. And unfortunately, if a Taraji P. Henson can sit on a Sirius XM couch and cry about not being valued, and she's been in the game this long, it's prevalent. So the question is, who's responsible? And as somebody that sits here and advocates for people that are on my payroll, people that are not on my payroll, I advocate for everybody because as we've talked about, a rising tide lifts all boats, and I'm willing to sacrifice everything so that the people here coming behind me don't have to have this fight because I'm built for the fight. I'm asking why isn't everyone doing it? And there are a lot of people doing it quietly, but this should be the standard. You get in the door, take the damn hinges off of it. Bust the windows out. There should be nobody going, okay, you get in, but you don't, and let me leverage my power so that I can hold something over on you. It is sickening for talented people to have to jump through hoops just to be seen and heard. It just doesn't make any sense. And there's a lot of talented people out there. And there are a lot of people who are talented and been snuffed out by this system that rewards mediocrity. And I'm not talking about Black right now. I'm talking across the board. There's so many mediocre people in positions of power. It is sickening. And I'm not even talking about Trump, but he's the greatest example of somebody failing upward. 6 times bankrupt. You ain't even served this country. You claim bone spurs. You liar. You done had a baby out of wedlock, married the woman, divorced, all of this stuff. Don't know a scripture. Your hair is fake. Your face is fake. You lie about everything. But yes, that's the man that represents America. Well, maybe he does. And I think he's the prime example of this illness that I'm talking about, that Monique was talking about. Let's play this third clip, Smiz.
There was Al Sharpton, the Reverend Al Sharpton, civil rights leader.
Yeah.
I sent him that audio. He listened to it. He said, baby, what that man did to you was wrong, and you're like my daughter, and we're going to have to get him to fix that.
Right.
We didn't hear from Al Sharpton for 6 months. The next time we saw Al Sharpton, he was on a podium talking about we don't need to fly commercial because we can fly Tyler Perry's private jet. I said, that's why maybe I'm not hearing back from him. Okay. Then we had our beautiful sister, Stephanie Mills.
Yes.
Okay. Who is, she don't play.
Yes.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I told her what happened, sent her the audio. Now, I don't know if she listened to that audio or not, but however, she called Tyler Perry. She said, Monique, Tyler Perry does not want to revisit this. Okay, fine.
Right.
While we're on the phone, Tyler Perry calls her back and says, I will meet with Monique, but not with her husband. Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
And then Monique has to apologize publicly to say Oprah and I had nothing to do with messing up her career.
But that'd be a lie.
Look in the goddamn camera.
I played this clip because a similar thing happened to me. Some of you may have seen me for the first time on MSNBC. Before that, CNN. I was a paid contributor for a number of years on MSNBC. I'd done 2 pilots. Was teeing up to have my own show there. I don't talk much about it because I'm far moved on. And at the same time, I was doing because I was off radio, I basically was whitelisted. I couldn't, and y'all been rocking with me for 10 years. Y'all know that I'm pretty decent on these airwaves. But nobody, not a Radio One, nobody felt that I was good enough to be on their airwaves. And it was painful. It was painful because I love to talk to people and I love to inspire and encourage. I love this. I had a blog talk radio show. That's how desperate I was, but I would fill in from time to time. And every week I had a standing spot on a show that actually follows my show. And my dad was dying at the time. And so I was, at the hospital a lot. And so I got replaced on that show, which was fine. But the same person told me that, they were talking to management at MSNBC about getting my show and greenlighting the show. And I was very excited because I was like, oh, this person's advocating for me. And then I look up and they have a show. And not only do I not have a show, I'm off the radio and my contract doesn't get renewed. It's interesting to me when people have the power to actually magnify and build around them, right? You know a tree by the fruit that it bears. You have the power to walk in and get things for other people, and then you walk out with something that you're not even that good at. That's notwithstanding, but if your way of advocating for other people is really advocating for yourself and using your power and access to build up your own, while other people, I'm sure it's not going to be the last story, but that rang true to me when I heard it because it happened. And I don't talk about it because I'm blessed. And I think everything happens for a reason. I don't lament stuff. I would probably never go on Club Shay Shay and bear all of the stuff. But since we're here, I'm going to tell the truth about it. But it is frustrating because part of the reason why I move the way I do is because I have seen so many people move differently, and it's unnecessary. This power that holds people back and all of that, and lets a few in or lets special ones in because they know that those people are going to shut the doors behind, has to stop. Has to stop. And the only way it has to stop is by continuing to magnify yourself. I just had a conversation with somebody on my team today, and I said, you need to duplicate yourself at least 3 times. I need you to find somebody that can do what you can do. And don't be afraid that they're going to take your job, because there's no fear in this space. There's only creativity and growth. And we only get bigger if you can magnify and duplicate yourself. And that's my lesson that I learned coming in here. And I think I've done that pretty well. And I'm very, very proud of the ability to duplicate myself in many different ways so that people can get fed more and more.